For those of you who bite your nails, you're not alone. This client came to me with extremely brittle and eaten up nails. She bites them due to anxiety, but she said it got really bad about a month ago during New York City Fashion Week. Little story time that she allowed me to share. She's a recent college graduate trying to break into the world of PR. A few months ago, before graduating, she secured an unpaid internship with a very well-known influencer. She did everything for her, including being available 24/7. Everything was going smooth until Fashion Week. She got overwhelmed going from show to show, carrying many bags along with heavy garments. As they were leaving the last show, the influencer asked her to reorganize and throw out a damaged SIM card she didn't need. Without realizing, my client threw out the one with all the Fashion Week footage on it that was going to be used for content. She rifled through many New York City garbage cans, but it was gone. She got fired on the spot, and since that moment, she's been biting her nails, scared that she'd never find a job again, especially in New York City. Chelsea is back. I haven't seen her since the end of September, so she cheated on me 3 times since our last appointment, and she came back with crooked nails. I don't remember leaving them like this. And usually I'm understanding about clients going to other techs because our schedules may not align all the time. But when we got to talking, she said she went to her local salon because they now offer Russian manicures and hard gel for, and I quote, really fast and cheap. She also asked me not to fix any of the crooked nails and to just file them, paint them as they are, and to preferably take only an hour and a half. At this point I started getting a little upset because it's not great to hear, especially when she came back with bubbly and crooked nails. I asked if it was money problems because then I'd understand, but she said no, it's because my husband thinks you take too long and it takes away from me being with the baby. At this point I was a little shocked. I asked her if she's okay and about her mental health because based on how she made it seem, she does everything plus works on top of it. She did open up about a few things which I won't be sharing, but I'm glad she's okay and we discussed it.
Anonymous story time. The first and last time I did this girl's nails, she came in with 2 of her friends. One of her friends started touching my things and kind of snooping around. From the corner of my eye, I seen her touch her purse. She would turn around to look at her friends and say, "Oh my god, look at this color, it's so pretty." She then walked over to the coat rack where my purse was hanging. She started saying, "Wow, it's getting really warm in here. Do you mind turning down the heater just a little bit, please?" I was like, "Oh yeah, give me a minute," and I walked out of the room. I heard her say pretty loud, "I'm gonna take off my sweater." When I come back, they're all acting really weird. I'm trying to finish this girl's nails and I overhear one of the friends whisper to the other friend, "Just put it all back." I am so stupid for thinking these girls would not steal from me. I finish up the girl's nails, she pays me, thanks me, says how much she loves them, and then they all walk out. As I'm cleaning up, I start counting my money and I realize that the $100 bill she gave me says play money. Then I notice I have gels and glitters missing. I look everywhere and realize this bitch took my shit. I check my purse and all my cash is missing. I tried to contact the girl and I'm blocked.
I've always had a good relationship with my mother-in-law up until I was pregnant. My husband's side of the family hasn't had a girl born in the past 100 years. So when everyone found out I was pregnant with a girl, no one believed me. Everyone was so shocked when it was announced that most of them denied it up until the moment she was born. And that's when the horrible comments started. Whenever my husband wasn't around, my mother-in-law would make snarky comments like, "I wonder where she got that nose. It's definitely not my son's." I never told him and let everything slide because she's older and she's my mother-in-law. But when I was pregnant with baby number 2, and yes, it was another girl, I told him to wait as long as possible because I know she wouldn't like the news. When she found out it was a girl, she started sobbing and screaming. She was calling me a whore and demanded that I get out of her house. "Those girls are not ours. She's a whore, a slut. My son did not make those girls." She looked at me and said, "I let you get away with it the first time. I took you in as family. I allowed my son to believe he fathered that brat, but I will not allow it again." My husband was yelling at his mom, and I got up and took my daughter and I ran to the car sobbing.
Story time! The time I did an influencer's nails. So as you all know, I used to take clients back in the day. This happened about a year ago. They DM'd me on Instagram saying they found me on TikTok and would love to get their nails done. And of course I accepted because I was such a huge fan of them. Then she sent me the nail design that she wanted done. And this set had literally bling design on all fingers. It was a lot. And then said she's free the next day, and I said, okay, great. I was so nervous and excited, so I practiced the set so many times, and I literally didn't sleep. So the day comes, and she would literally refuse to say anything to me, like her manager would talk for her, which was pretty odd, but I'm here to do her nails, and the nails came out just the way she wanted, and then she refused to pay me, and said she'll pay me through promotion and never promoted me.
Client story time. So we had a client who came in many years ago and got a full set of bougie designs and a pedicure. Her hands alone took about 3 hours because that is how intricate her designs were. Keep that in mind. When it came for time to check out and pay, she started looking through her bag and chucking everything around and saying, "Oh my God, I think someone stole my wallet and I don't have Apple Pay on my phone." She said, "Can I please go and do cardless cash out? I'll leave my AirPods here so you don't think I'm running away." We said, "Sure, of course, no problem." Left her AirPods there. She went to do cardless cash out and she did not come back. And then 3 months later,
My first time making nails. I am doing it on my sister. She likes it long. Oh no! Much better. Adding some pink color. What made me think I can start from there? My favorite part. Adding white glitter. Rate it.
Hey, I can't be the only one. Who else knows people that have killed other people?
Finally, something that I can actually relate to. So my grandma killed her mom, so she killed my great-grandma. It's kind of a crazy story, but back in the 90s, my grandma was over at her house giving her a bath. She was elderly, so my grandma was kind of in charge of taking care of her. During the bath, my grandma brought up the past about how she was abused as a child by one of her stepdads, and her mom then basically admitted to knowing about the abuse, but blamed her for it instead of the stepdad, which sent my grandma into a rage. She ended up drowning my great-grandma, and then after she was dead, instead of calling the police, she cut up her body into 8 different pieces, put them in garbage cans, filled the cans with cement, and then put these garbage cans in different storage units all throughout my hometown where I grew up. When the police were investigating, she lied and said my great-grandma was in Hawaii with this wealthy man she met, and even faked letters from her. It's pretty crazy.
Story time of how I found out that my mom was actually my older sister. My older sister never really liked me as a child. We were never close. I never knew why, but I was guessing it was because of the 10-year age gap. But I'm pretty sure she hated me because she couldn't even look me in the eye. I cannot make this up. She would not look me in the eye. But she never really talked to my parents either. She kind of just kept to herself all the time. Sometimes I have vivid memories of when we were younger and she would always be arguing with my parents about something, and I always thought it had something to do with me. Well, I was right. It had everything to do with me because eventually my sister turned 18 and she moved out. For 2 years, I didn't talk to her at all. I honestly don't even think I had her number saved, and I'm pretty sure that she didn't have mine. Well, 2 years later, and I was 10 at the time, she reached out to me via social media. I'm not sure how she found my Instagram name, but it was just my name, so she probably just typed that in and found me. She DM'd me and told me that she wanted to talk about something very important and that she would like to talk over the phone. So we exchanged numbers and we called that same night. And she told me that when she was younger, my dad had taken advantage of her and gotten her pregnant and had me.
Am I the asshole for telling my sister she's ridiculous for divorcing her husband over a TikTok prank? My 24 male, sister, 32 female, was married to a guy, 35 male, for 3 years until they separated 2 months ago over a TikTok prank he pulled. Although none of our family cares about social media, I've always thought of her husband as nice, funny man. It's great to be in his company, and I therefore think the divorce is ridiculous over something that was no more than a mistake. To give an account of what happened, my brother-in-law, who is involved in TikTok, pulled a prank on my sister's 15 male son. The prank culminated in my nephew falling over and banging his head, which is why she separated from him. He had to be rushed to the hospital where he underwent treatment, and now he has brain damage. He now needs help eating due to impaired motor control, has limited speech. If you ask him something, he'll stare at you until my sister gets on her knees to ask him calmly what he needs. He is easily irritable, and when I look at him, all I can see.
This is why you should always lock your front doors. A kid living with both of his parents decided to watch a movie for their family weekly movie night. He then gets up to use the restroom. As he is in the restroom, he sees all of the power in the house cuts off, and then he hears 2 loud thumps. He locks the bathroom door and hears heavy objects being dragged across the hallway. The kid, freaking out, runs out of the bathroom and runs into the restroom. Once he is inside the room, he locks the door. As he locks the door, he jumps in bed and acts like he's asleep in hopes that this person who is in the house will ignore a child sleeping. He closes his eyes and hears the door creak at the same time. He squints his eyes and sees a man with no eyes dragging the bodies of both of his parents. The man dragging his parents sits his mom's dead body in a chair facing him. and then sets the dad's body on the floor facing up. It was almost like whoever was in the house who killed them wanted him to see it. He then sees the man writing something on the wall and then climbs under his bed. He laid there for hours knowing that if he moved a muscle, he would end up just like his parents. He finally built up enough courage to read the wall, and the writing on the wall said, "I know you're awake."
Story time on how a recent client tried to fight me. A couple months ago, I started taking clients again. I posted on Facebook that I was doing these $40 sets, any length, any design, just to get started. My Facebook friends were sharing my posts, so a lot of new people started sending in friend requests. I added all of them back and started booking. One girl hit me up, hyping up my work, saying she really wanted to book with me. She sent me the design she wanted and we set an appointment. So the day of her appointment, she came right on time, but I noticed she was wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt. It was really hot outside, but I figured she wanted to be comfy, so I didn't think too much of it. So I started her set, and as I was putting the tips on, she started asking me a lot of questions about myself. I'm not really the type to tell all my business, but I figured she was just trying to make some conversation. I told her about my other job, my son, and my boyfriend. Out of all the things I told her, she seemed really interested in my boyfriend. She asked how we met, how long we've been together, and if we had any issues, really just being nosy. So I tried to change the subject by asking her about her own relationship. She tells me her and her boyfriend broke up like 2 months ago because he cheated on her with a slut. She went on saying that this girl was texting her man while they were together and was acting like she didn't even know that he had a girlfriend. I just shook my head in disappointment, but I kept to myself. She said the girl was just a broke hoe looking for a come up, but she was gonna handle all of that soon. I could tell her hands were getting kind of tense while I was laying the acrylic, so I tried to change the conversation and, ask her about her job, but she just kept going on talking about that girl. She told me she was going to run up on this girl, drag her, and get her man back. Well, he doesn't seem like much of a prize, I said, without even thinking. She snatched her hand away as I was doing her top coat and looked pissed off. I figured it was because of what I said, so I apologized and she put her hand back under the UV lamp to dry. I had no idea where all of this tension was coming from, but I was ready to go ahead and finish up this set because I was starting to get uncomfortable. I top coated the rest of her nails, and just as she was putting her hand under the UV lamp, I heard someone running up to my front door. The door unlocked and my boyfriend came running in looking panicked. I asked him what was wrong. He looked right at my client and said, "You need to get out, now." Shocked, I looked at her and I looked at him, confused with how they even knew each other. "What are you doing here?" he asked her. She stood up, looked at me and said, "So this is the bitch you were cheating with, huh?" My jaw dropped. There's no way this girl was sitting here talking about me the whole time. I had no idea he even had a girlfriend when we started dating. So it didn't even cross my mind that she was talking about me. She knocked all the supplies off my desk, looked at me and said, "Get up, now." Part 2 posting right now.
When my sister eats, she eats, okay? At least we know she enjoys her food. And she's probably saving the rest under her nails for later. I'm just kidding. She's 10, so we'll give her a pass. And that's what I'm here for, right? Drilling off the hot Cheeto stains that harbored her sidewalls. My mom's always like, she's too young to have these nails, but that's my way of spoiling her. Making sure she's okay mentally, physically. It's our little check-in time. She found this cute design on Pinterest and I copied and pasted. Not my favorite thing to do, but anything for her.
My friend is back to do her own nails and use all my supplies, part 3. You might think her nails are real, but they're not, even though she tells everyone they are. She's taking off her old crusty, musty, and dusty gel extensions because it's time for a new set. Now this gave me the ick because me and Acetone are not friends. She's more like a friend of me. She always comes in here thinking she knows it all. She requested my tornado bit, like, who is you? Okay, let's get into it. She's using pre-etched extensions today because work smarter, not harder. Using the gel glue to stick those babies on and they won't be coming off for 4 weeks. I hope. She got hungry, so she ate her leftover sushi from hours ago, then got right back to work blending the tip with her natural nail, pretty aggressively I must say. And you don't know how long it took to get to this part, let me not scare you. She always claims her nail art skills are better than mine. She even drew her design on a little sketchbook that I bought and never used. Then she strayed away from all her ideas and went to Pinterest. The goal originally was spring nails, but I think she skipped spring and went straight to EDM festival vibes. Halfway through drawing, she got tired, used some decals, and tried to stamp them on with her nose. She said what people don't know won't hurt them. Top coat on, some end filing, and a little massage because I would not provide those services. Our nail days are the most chaotic, but somehow her nails stay looking good.
Just found out my boyfriend has a freaking wife. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I repeat, this is not my story time. I'm sending it on Instagram. I met my boyfriend at the gym. Yeah, I know. Terrible idea. You can say it was lust at first sight. From the moment we saw each other at the gym, we couldn't take our eyes off each other. He came straight up to me at the gym and told me that he really liked me. But I was super shy. He was just some random guy I was meeting at the gym. But he was all about me. He asked me for my number and I said no. He asked me for my Instagram and I said no. For the next 2 weeks, he would come into the gym at exactly the same time I did. I would basically go work out whenever I had my lunch break. So of course, he would show up then. Of course, slowly but surely, he would charm me. He would even bring me lunch. After about 2 weeks, I finally gave him my phone number. That's when he asked me to go have breakfast, which I thought was weird. Should have been the first red flag, right? This was his excuse. He said he worked nights, but that his schedule would change all the time. So this meant that he would sometimes work during the day or at night. It was just random. So we went to breakfast. Here's the second red flag. He asked me if we could have breakfast 40 minutes away from where we lived. We both lived near the gym. Of course, I thought this was strange, but I said sure. He picked me up and the whole time at breakfast, he kept looking at his phone. Part 2.
It's been a full year since I've heard from this lovely client. If you remember from my previous video, she came to me once asking to do a basic manicure with regular polish. She's been painting her own nails her whole life, but ever since she was diagnosed with arthritis, it's gotten more difficult. During this appointment, she said she still paints them on her own because it's relaxing for her. And ever since she lost her husband, that's something that puts her mind at ease and helps relieve any anxiety. But the one thing she's scared to touch are her cuticles. Her hands shake and she ends up cutting herself because her skin is very thin and sensitive. As you saw earlier, her skin sticks on top of her nail, which makes it very difficult to push back. She came to me hoping I'd help, and I'm so happy she did. I safely lifted that outgrown skin, which fully revealed her nail and gave her hands an entirely different look. She chose this beautiful red shimmer polish and told me she felt like a completely new person. Because she paints her own nails, I gave her a little pouch with some essentials.